An insidious invasion of multiplying insects poses different perils to the mushroom patch. You must repeatedly blast enraged creepers, centipedes, spiders, and fleas, as well as stubborn obstacles, or lose your enchanted fungus. Originally released in 1981, Centipede was one of the most commercially successful games from the golden age of arcade video games, and one of the first with a significant female player base, owing to designers Donna Bailey and Ed Logg's notion of making the color scheme vibrant pastel shades that would appeal to a broader audience. According to Donna, the choice was accidental, as she was watching changes cycle on the monitor while a technician fiddled with something at the back of an arcade cab. Suddenly, the palette changed from the regular primary colors to hot and vivid pastel, and a whole new imagery was formed. In 2013, Donna received a Lifetime Achievement Award for Women in Gaming for her work on Centipede while at Atari. This is, as I'm sure you recognize by now, a colorized re-release. In fact, this is the 4th iteration of this code committed to a Game Boy cartridge. Initially published by Accolade themselves way back in 1992, it also featured as one half of the Arcade Classic Volume 2 compilation in 1995, alongside its sequel Millipede. Majesco Sales themselves would also release this very thing in 1998 twice. The cartridge DMC-AC4 is your monochrome version, this AC5 is the colorized one. Did we need two in such close proximity? Probably not. It is pretty good though, whichever one you get. The gameplay feels a little like Space Invaders. Well, actually it feels a lot like Space Invaders, if a souped up version of it. You're this little bug blaster laser shooter that you can move in any direction within the lower third of the playfield. There are a bunch of respawning mushrooms that cover the entire map except for the very bottom row. You can shoot these to get them out of your way, but they don't do any physical harm to you. They serve as blockades that force the centipede enemies to turn around should they run into them. These enemies are the main ones you'll see, and although they come onto the screen in one chain of 10 to 12 bits, they can split into multiple segments, moving independently of each other. Separate, faster-moving centipede heads can also appear on screen, but these are particularly tricky. As well as the titular bugs, you'll come across these spiders that bounce around your lower third, basically being a complete nuisance. While they only take one hit to kill, it's best to let them retreat a little before attempting to shoot them, or else you risk them hitting you and taking a life. There are also these scorpions that move horizontally across the middle of the screen, not really posing a direct threat, but turning any mushroom they touch into a lighter, poisoned one. Any centipede that touches this will now dart straight downwards, becoming much more of a danger. Finally, fleas can descend from the top of the screen in a vertical line, leaving a trail of mushrooms behind them. Try to clear out some of the fungus if you can, as the more there is on screen, the quicker the centipede will descend. Not only do they about face when they hit a mushroom, they'll also drop down a row. If the column they're entering on is only one tile wide, their descent is incredibly speedy, and they'll be right up in your grill in no time. It doesn't matter if the centipedes reach the bottom, they'll just mill about down there until you manage to shoot them. Any partially destroyed fungus will regenerate upon a player death, as long as there is still at least a tiny bit of it left, giving more points. You get an extra life at 12,000 points. The arcade cabinet had a trackball that was, by most accounts, remarkably responsive. Here, you're obviously using the D-pad instead, but it's still impressive how tight the controls are. Granted, there's not a ton of programming needed, but this is probably one of the most faithful an arcade port has been on the Game Boy. The colorizations here are nice, but if you're after value for money, go for the 1995 compilation, as you'll also get the sequel. Oh, and make sure to play the game in a Super Game Boy peripheral on your SNES if you get the chance, to see some really cool arcade cab mock-ups. If Centipede is your thing, there's no chance you'll be disappointed by this excellent rendition of the classic.